Hey, what's up everybody? Primus Prime 22 here, bringing you another episode of Transformers Lore. I have been asked on multiple occasions about which version of Nemesis Prime is my favorite for some reason. Well, my favorite would be the evil clone created by Unicron in RX 304.0 Epsilon, the universe of the sort of instructions for the Mega Wing Galvatron configuration. His is a story of losing oneself, being lost, before finding oneself once more and working towards redemption. And today, we will take a look at the life of this evil clone of Optimus Prime. He goes by many names: Optimus Prime, Nemesis Prime, Convoy, Deity, the Knight of Darkness, Black Convoy. He's lived an exciting life. Let us begin. RX 304.0 Epsilon was a universe of destruction. Like many other RX universes, a war broke out on Cybertron over the power-enhancing minicons. However, unlike most RX universes, RX 304.0 Epsilon saw a war over the minicons with the Autobots, Decepticons, and Omnicons, all battling each other for supremacy. The three-way war was waged like other wars, Cybertronians falling all in the name of victory, and in command of the heroic Autobots was Optimus Prime. The war spread throughout space, with Optimus Prime himself fighting on a prehistoric Earth, gaining a woolly mammoth-based alternate mode. RX 304 Epsilon was a victim to invasion by another universe, when the powerful Destructicons invaded from Viron 403.0 Beta, which would be the universe of the robots in disguise toys of Smokejumper and Dreadwind. The Destructicons were under the command of the multiversal tyrant known as the God Emperor Supreme, Megazarak. Megazarak's arrival threw the balance of the three-way war out of whack as one by one, each faction fell to the Destructicons. Optimus Prime himself engaged Megazarak in combat on the shores of the Rust Sea. In their duel, it was Optimus Prime who was slain. As his body fell dying on the shores of the sea, Megazarak taunted the Autobot leader.
"You've been defeated, Prime. You were a proud leader of the Autobots, but your body will be left here forgotten and discarded by this sea of rust. And as your body rots, so will your precious matrix of leadership within you."
With that, Megazarak ripped out and crushed Prime's spark, leaving him dead. Megazarak continued his rampage against the Cybertronians, and the energy of the war attracted a being who fed off the conflict. It was the multiversal singular Unicron himself. With the Cybertronians defeated, Unicron abducted Megazarak and his Destructicons to fight in the Universe War, but still had an interest in Optimus Prime's body. One of the few ways to defeat Unicron was through the power of the Matrix of Leadership, the energy of Primus himself, the antithesis of Unicron. Unicron had long sought a method to exterminate his brother, possibly through his own sort of Matrix. With a discarded Matrix of Leadership ready for the taking, Unicron also took the Matrix of Leadership and what remained of Optimus Prime. As Unicron left the universe, the scavenging Hytherian and a Tornadron consumed what was left of RX 304.0 Epsilon. Inside the dark halls of Unicron, Unicron used Optimus Prime's remains as a template to create a new herald for himself, giving the new clone of Optimus Prime all of his predecessor's memories. However, upon being effectively reborn, Optimus Prime spent an eternity in total darkness by Unicron. Eventually, after this unbelievably long time of zero sensations, Unicron began to slowly and gradually torture Optimus Prime. However, Optimus Prime grew to prefer the torture, and feeling the pain was better than having no senses whatsoever. He grew to both hate and worship the pain, hate and worship Unicron, and this hatred evolved over the centuries into devotion. He even began to pray to Unicron for even greater pain. This torture continued for thousands of years. Then, one day, the torture stopped, and Unicron spoke to Optimus Prime, informing him that the time would soon come for Prime to be set free and to serve Unicron's biddings in the vast multiverse. Unicron provided Optimus with the result of his own experiments. All while Prime was being tortured, Unicron had been experimenting with the Matrix of Leadership he had taken from his predecessor, corrupting it with his own essence. The result was the Dead Matrix that could be used to kill Primus. The Dead Matrix was bestowed to the broken Optimus Prime, who was then freed from his cloning chamber, and saw Unicron properly for the first time, and immediately dropped to his knees to worship. As he worshipped, Unicron reached out with his massive finger and laid it on Prime's back. And it was here that Unicron dubbed him as Nemesis Prime, and so began Nemesis Prime's servitude to Unicron. It was 2030 CE of the time zone of RX 802.23 Alpha, the universe of the American Unicron Trilogy cartoons. That was the year that the Unicron Singularity Crisis began. Unicron had become too involved with that universe and other related universes, and it was here where Primus attempted to end the Theomachy by trying to destroy his spark by trapping it within a sun. Unfortunately for Primus, this was when he learned that he had been lied to by the One, that Unicron was never meant to be totally defeated, as it created an imbalance between order and chaos. As a result of Unicron's spark's destruction, the sun that held his spark collapsed into a black hole on a multiversal scale, causing damage across time and space. This cataclysm was called the Unicron Singularity. Across the multiverse, Cybertronians set out trying to find ways to solve the crisis, with the Autobots of RX 802.23 Alpha setting out on the search for the Cyber Planet Keys with the guidance of Vector Prime, one of the 13. With the keys, they could reawaken and repower Primus to his full capacity, and he could end the threat of the Unicron Singularity. This multiversal crisis was dubbed the Unicron Singularity Crisis. At the time of the Unicron Singularity Crisis, Nemesis Prime was under the command of another Herald of Unicron by the name of Ramjet, a former Decepticon supported by his Minicons, all enhanced by the excess power they had received unintentionally at the hands of the Elder Gods. Under Ramjet's guidance, the unit went to RX 802.23 Alpha where Unicron had fallen. Ramjet decided that though Unicron was effectively deceased, it was their duty to bring back a balance to the multiverse. It's important to note that the Autobot quest to gather the Cyber Planet Keys would have been in vain. Had things not turned out the way they did, a reawakened Primus could not close the Unicron Singularity, with Unicron dead. Thankfully, Unicron was revived to re-establish the balance in time, and though the Autobots thought they restored a balance with Primus shutting the hole, they actually eliminated the excess damage that was persisting after Unicron's revival. But this knowledge is in retrospect, and at the time, Vector Prime was guiding the Autobots on a foolish quest. Ramjet believed the best way to restore the balance was to use Nemesis Prime's dead matrix to kill Primus, effectively creating a balance through destroying the multiverse, carrying out Unicron's last will by allowing entropy to consume everything that ever was. They went to Cybertron and landed at McAdam's old oil house in the abandoned city of Iacon. The entire planet had been evacuated due to the Unicron Singularity Crisis. However, the planet wasn't completely empty as the Decepticons Jackhammer and Crush Groove were at the oil house. Ramjet approached the two and offered to make them his warrior slaves, but they refused. When they fought back, Nemesis Prime personally killed Crush Groove. Ramjet came to the conclusion that they needed to do the work of killing Primus themselves. They attacked the Vector Sigma chamber, which was guarded by the members of the 13, Alpha Trion and Vector Prime, as well as Sentinel Maximus, from Prime X984.17 Alpha. Nemesis Prime managed to throw Alpha Trion into the Vector Sigma and engaged Sentinel Maximus. He was curious as to why he sensed Sentinel Maximus as being a living matrix of leadership, despite never once having bore the matrix. After significant damage was inflicted on the Vector Sigma, Ramjet ordered a retreat. Nemesis Prime swore to eliminate Sentinel Maximus next time before he left. Nemesis Prime had the idea to use the scrap metals, a species of Terracon that plagued Cybertron, to find the strongest source of energy on the planet, Primus's core. They began to hack into the scrap metals and had them gather information on Primus's essence. While they waited on the scrap metals, Ramjet explained the plan to Nemesis Prime that he needed to open the dead matrix in Primus's spark chamber to kill Primus, and allow the Unicron Singularity to expand and destroy the multiverse. Later that evening, the recently revived Dark Scorponok was recruited into Ramjet's unit, and Ramjet's Minicon Thunderclash detected a life signal under some rubble where they had found Dark Scorponok. They observed Dark Scorponok's attack on the Callus Primary Energon Reserve's control while waiting for the individual to emerge. Eventually, Skyfall came to the surface, surprising Ramjet. The scrap metals downloaded enough information and Ramjet ordered the unit to move out and to leave Skyfall behind. Nemesis Prime did not approve of leaving Skyfall, one of the fragments of Nexus Prime, behind unharmed. However, the unit launched an attack on Spark Core Access Shaft 19A in Iacon, as they were on their way to Primus's Spark. However, Vector Prime and Sentinel Maximus arrived to stop them via portal. Ramjet ordered Nemesis Prime to go kill Primus. Nemesis ran down the shaft, but Sentinel Maximus pursued him. Upon reaching Primus's Spark Core, Nemesis shot down the door to lock himself in with Primus's Spark, and halting Sentinel Maximus's pursuit. Nemesis Prime then opened up the dead matrix to kill Primus. However, Omega Prime of Viron 903.0 Beta suddenly teleported into the room and stopped Nemesis Prime. Omega Prime separated into Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus, and Ultra Magnus began to beat down Nemesis Prime, while Optimus used his Matrix of Leadership to purify Primus's damaged spark. Ultra Magnus beat Nemesis Prime into stasis lock. The two and Sentinel Maximus threw Nemesis Prime into a nearby Energon dampening cell and confiscated the dead Matrix. Unknown to them, another Herald of Unicron, Soundwave of Planet X, would use the dead Matrix to revive Unicron and restore the balance. Reviving Unicron allowed the Unicron Singularity to have the ability to be stopped in the first place, paving the way for the local Autobots of this universe and Vector Prime to use Primus to shut down the remaining multiversal black hole. Nemesis Prime was not reactivated until his reactivation in Primex 903.0 Beta by the multiversal protecting organization known as the Alternity in the far future. The Alternity gave Nemesis Prime a chance at redemption. He was given a new body with the auto-avatar designated as Vector 704. The process that made Nemesis Prime be reborn healed his broken soul, and he began to seek redemption. He was welcomed into the Convoy Aggregate, a unit of various Optimus Primes from across the universe within the Alternity. To fit the Convoy Aggregate's naming conventions, Nemesis Prime took on the name of Convoy. As a member of the Alternity, he was given the codename of Deity. However, Convoy did not like this codename and preferred other members of the Alternity to call him the Knight of Darkness. Now reborn, Convoy was a skilled and thoughtful warrior who fought ruthlessly at times. He had a deep desire to get his revenge on Unicron, but he instead concentrated his efforts on the main threats to the Alternity in the multiverse, the local Megatron and the Hytherian. Convoy was sent with the other members of the Alternity to Earth of 2009 CE to help in the fight against Megatron when he had merged with the Hytherian. Convoy and Megatron finally came face to face, though the Megatron Convoy faced was actually a mere auto-avatar controlled by Megatron. The battle went well for Convoy, who used his experience in higher dimensional combat to destroy the auto-avatar. Fellow Alternity member Elita 7 arrived and criticized Convoy for being too brutal in the fight. Convoy corrected her from calling him Deity, and to instead call him the Knight of Darkness, and drove off. Later, during the final battle with Megatron, who was trying to weaponize the Planacrons, two-dimensional transformers, Convoy provided covering fire. Megatron was disarmed of the weaponized Planacrons by the rebelling Thundercracker, and the goal of the Alternity in the battle changed from stopping Megatron from weaponizing the Planacrons to finding an entryway for the Planacrons to emerge into a three-dimensional realm to help the Alternity defeat Megatron and replace the Alternity as the protectors of the multiverse. Convoy, Elita 7, Bumblebee, Grimlock, and Optimus Primal found schematics for the Critias Gate, a two-dimensional portal for the Planacrons. Once the Critias Gate was constructed, Convoy watched as the Planacrons emerged. The Planacrons destroyed Megatron, and the Alternity cheered the death of their nemesis. The Planacrons became known as the Flaternity, and replaced the Alternity. The former members of the Alternity all met again on the planet Athenia one last time, before using the Timeus technology to go their separate ways once again. After his time with the Alternity, Convoy ended up in the Cybertronian city of Axiom Nexus, in the reality of Nexus 208.0 Epsilon. As he was an Optimus Prime, Convoy was illegally in the reality, as the Axiom Nexus had a law system called Dux Non Intuitus, which stated that no Primes were allowed. However, the local Optimus Prime of this reality wished to form a coalition of Primes to assist with the new issues the multiverse faced. The Hytherian had been defeated, and the negative polarity universe Primax -408.24 Epsilon had invaded Primax 207.0 Epsilon, a universe filled with rarefied energon. Convoy was invited to join Optimus Prime's alliance known as the Convoy, and Convoy accepted the offer. He changed his name to Black Convoy during this change. As a member of the Convoy, Black Convoy was given a special badge which allowed him to be immune to the Dux Non Intuitus policy. Other members of the Convoy included his old enemies, Sentinel Maximus and Ignition Prime, the Optimus Prime from Viron 903.0 Beta. Shortly following the Waruder invasion, Black Convoy was in a convoy meeting with Prowl and Starscream to discuss the crisis. Starscream gave Black Convoy and Sentinel Maximus orders to quell unrest in the Insecticon community as they were feeling emboldened by the invasion of other mechanical insects. When the Shroud began months later, the inhabitants of the Off-Worlder zones began to become much more upset over the fact that they might not be able to return to their homes again. Black Convoy and the rest of the convoy were tasked with putting down the unrest. Later, the convoy took part in a raid under the command of General Optimus Prime, from another universe, on a terrorist cell set up in the old headquarters of Alpha Trion of Primex -408.24 Epsilon. They located the hiding place of the former limb of Nexus Prime Topspin, and found the sparks of Black Arachnia, Night Scream, and Immorticon. They returned the sparks to the Axiom Nexus. And so, Black Convoy continues his life, working as part of the convoy in Axiom Nexus. What the future holds in store for him nobody knows, and whether he will get his revenge on Unicron or not, well, only time will tell. And that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you like if you have not yet, check out the social media links in the description, and have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.